So in the previous class, we saw how to calculate the work done in an isothermal process, right? And the formula came out to be 2.303 nRT log of V2 by V1 or 2.303 nRT log of P1 by P2. I told you what is the reason for it, right? So this is how we got the value for work done in an isothermal process, right? So next is we need to discuss about adiabatic process. But before discussing about adiabatic process, there are certain types of specific heats that we need to discuss. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about the specific heats of gas. So what is specific heat? What is the other name for it? So what is the other name for specific heat? It is also called as specific heat capacity, right? That we have already discussed in the previous chapter. So let's recollect it once. So what is the definition of specific heat? Can someone tell me?
It is amount of heat required to raise the temperature of any mass of substance by 1
That's right.
degree.
1 degree. That's right. So the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of unit mass of substance by unit degree, right? That is, it can be 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin. Anything is accepted. That is specific heat. It is represented by the symbol C. So if you simply call it a specific heat capacity, then the important parameter that you take into consideration is the mass of the substance. Okay. If suppose the same specific heat is spoken in terms of the number of moles. So when you talk about the quantity of the substance, instead of speaking about the quantity in terms of mass, if you speak in terms of moles, that is in, then that kind of a specific heat is what is called as molar specific heat. Can you guess what will be the change that will happen? It is the same thing. Amount of heat required to change or to raise the temperature of how much amount of substance unit. What change do I need to bring here? Unit mole of a substance by unit degree. If I bring the change from mass to mole, then the name of the specific heat will be changed to molar specific heat. Okay, so that is what our topic of discussion is going to be. Those are called as specific heats of gases. Okay, so there are two important specific heats of gas. One is called as the molar specific heat of gas at constant volume, and there is something called as molar specific heat of gas at constant pressure. Okay, so let's look at the values. So what is the molar specific heat at constant volume? It is defined as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 mole of a gas through 1 degree Celsius at constant volume. This is an important parameter, guys. So if you need to increase the temperature of 1 mole of a substance by a value of 1 degree Celsius, at what value? At constant volume, then that kind of a specific heat is called as molar specific heat under what's in a circumstances at constant value, and it is represented by the symbol C with the suffix V. Okay. If the same specific heat or the increase in temperature is happening at constant pressure, then we call it as molar specific heat at constant pressure. So these are the two important terms that we are going to see with respect to the specific heats of gas, and we will also be concentrating on what is the relation between them in terms of number of moles and other parameters. Okay, what is CP? Make a note of it. Molar specific heat at constant pressure. CV is molar specific heat at constant volume. Okay. So please make a note of it. So are you done?
Yes.
1 second.
No. Yeah, make a note. Write it down.
Done, sir.
Okay. Now listen. So how do I mathematically express specific heat as? It is represented as delta Q. See, generally the specific heat is written as delta Q divided by M delta T, right? So molar specific heat, how am I supposed to represent it? Delta Q divided by mass should be replaced with the number of moles multiplied with delta T. Accepted? So if I add a suffix V, then this is going to be the value of molar specific heat at constant volume. Similarly, what is going to be the value of Cp? It will be delta Q divided by N into delta T at constant pressure. So that is molar specific heat at constant.
What does T indicate, sir?
What is
T indicate?
temperature? Right. Now see. According to first law of thermodynamics. So what is the first law of thermodynamics state? The amount of heat you supply is going to increase the volume plus some work will be done, delta W, right? So delta U plus delta W, can I write it as P delta V if it is done at constant pressure? We know that work is equal to P delta V at constant pressure. Now observe, see, wait, I'll do one thing. This is the first law of thermodynamics. The amount of heat supplied is used to increase the internal energy plus some work to be done on the system. So I can write delta Q is equal to delta U plus P delta V at constant pressure. Right? So if I divide it with T on delta T on both the sides, okay, and multiply with N on both the sides in the denominator, then what is this delta Q by N delta T at constant pressure called as? It is
Molar Cp capacity.
Yeah, it is Cp, right? So Cp is equal to delta U by N delta T at constant pressure plus P delta V by N delta T at constant pressure. Can I say like this? Right? Let this be expression number 1. At constant volume means you're trying to keep the volume of the gas constant but only increasing the temperature. At constant volume, what is going to happen? Delta Q will be equal to delta U plus, what is the work done in the case of an isochoric process?
0.
Yes. So delta Q is equal to 0. So again, I'll do one thing. Delta Q divided by N delta T is equal to delta U by N delta T. This is happening at constant volume. Okay. So this is a second point. Here, an important note to be made is delta U will be the same in the case of constant pressure or constant volume. It depends only on temperature. So from this, the important conclusion that we can make is delta U divided by N delta T at constant pressure is the same as delta U divided by N delta T divided at constant volume, because internal energy is only a function of temperature. It is not a function of pressure or volume. Okay, please make a note of it.
Sir, can you explain why del Q is equal to del U plus 0?
You only told no work done is 0.
No, sir.
Remember,
How did you relate it to isochoric process, sir?
Got it? Got it?
So what, sir? Constant volume. Oh, work done in constant volume is 0. Okay, sir.
Got it? So
First one
delta
is isobaric, right, sir?
Yeah,
At
first one is
constant
isobaric process. Yes, first one is isobaric. Second one is isochoric process. See, if suppose you get a 1 mark question like this from the note that I gave you, if suppose you get a 1 mark question like this, delta U is equal to 0 under what conditions?
under constant volume.
Under constant temperature, because the internal energy of the system will change only when the what scenario? Only if the temperature is changing. So delta U is independent. Okay. Delta U is independent of pressure and volume. But if the temperature is not changing, internal energy will not change. That is what I'm trying to say. So to put it in simple terms, I can say delta U is equal to 0 if change in temperature is 0. Okay. Please make a note of it. I'm repeating it again. The internal energy of a system is only a function of temperature. Hence, it will change only if there is a temperature change. Else, the change in its value is 0. Okay. So in this scenario, what is going to happen is delta U by N delta T at constant pressure is equal to delta U by N delta T at constant volume. So from this, what I can conclude is, observe, delta U by N delta T can be simply written as, okay, from 3, 2, and 1. Can I conclude something like this? From 1, CPU is equal to delta U by N delta T at constant pressure. But that is the same as delta U by N delta T at constant volume, right? So what is this delta Q by N delta T at constant volume called as? The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of unit mole of a substance through unit change in temperature at constant volume. This is what is called as CV. Accepted?
Yes, sir.
So Cp will be equal to Cv plus P delta V by N delta T at constant volume. P delta V divided by N delta T at, constant pressure. Right? So let this be equation number 4. For an ideal gas, can I write PV is equal to nRT? Okay. Now, differentiating both sides with respect to temperature, can I write it as PdV plus PdV is equal to nR into dt, or I can write PdV by dt is equal to nR. Both mean the same. Are you guys able to understand? So for PV, what I did is I took out P because pressure is constant. So P is taken out. Volume is going to change with respect to temperature as dV by dt. That is equal to nR into dt by dt is going to be 1. That is why I wrote nR. Clear? So from this we can conclude that PdV is equal to nR into dt, or P delta V is equal to NR delta T. If I replace the dV with delta V, then P delta V will be equal to NR into delta T. Okay, so this is the fifth expression. Okay, this is not the fifth. I will write P delta V divided by N delta T as R. Let this be the fifth expression. So from fourth and fifth, what is it we can conclude?
Cp equal to Cv plus R.
That's right. So Cp will be equal to Cv plus R, or Cp minus Cv is equal to R, and this is what is called as Mayer's formula. Make a note of it.
Sir, R is constant, right?
Universal gas constant.
Sir, could you go up a bit?
Yeah.
A bit more, sir. The third equation.
This is fine?
Yes, sir. Done, sir.
Okay. Okay, there is a difference between Cp and Cv. That is, Cp minus Cv is equal to R. Similarly, there is another parameter called as specific heat ratio, which is given by the symbol gamma. The symbol is gamma. So specific heat ratio is defined like this. The ratio of molar specific heat at constant pressure to the constant volume is a constant, which is called as gamma, or you can call it as specific heat ratio. Okay. This term is important for you to understand the process of adiabatic. See, this is not a term that is used in books. Sometimes they call this gamma as adiabatic index also, but most commonly it is called a specific heat ratio only. Okay, so Cp by Cv is gamma. And the next important point is Cp is always greater than Cv. Hence, gamma is always greater than 1. So how did I say Cp is greater than Cv? Can you tell me?
Since specific heat ratio cannot be negative, sir.
That's not the reason. Why? If it is less, if Cp is less than Cv, then the value would have been less than 1. It has nothing to do with negativity. Okay. So the point here is Cp minus Cv is equal to R is there, right? So the difference between these two values is coming out as a positive value. So obviously, which one should be greater? Okay, this might be a 1-mark question. Out of a molar specific heat at constant pressure and the value, the molar specific heat at constant volume, which one is greater? So you can directly say Cp is greater than Cv. So please make a note of this value and also this point. Gamma is always greater than 1. So the application of gamma will be there in the next chapter. We'll be using for gases. Okay, as of now, have this point, gamma means Cp by Cv. That's it. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So having all these points in mind, now we are going to discuss about the condition for an adiabatic process. Okay. So you can say, for example, if I ask you, what is an isobaric process? What will you say? The pressure is going to be constant. If I ask you what is isochoric, volume is going to be constant. If I ask you what is isothermal, temperature is constant. And what is the mathematical relation in that? So what is the mathematical relation between pressure and volume in the case of an isothermal process? So we saw it yesterday. PV is equal to nRT. So PV is equal to constant represents the mathematical relation between pressure and volume for an isothermal process, right? In a similar way, for a process to be adiabatic, the product of pressure and volume alone raised to the power gamma should be a constant. Why it is happening is not necessary for you. The derivation will not be asked. It's not there also in your syllabus. So you can understand that the condition for an adiabatic process is pressure into volume raised to the power gamma is always a constant. Okay. So here I'm going to explain two important graphs. So when you draw the graph between pressure and volume under isothermal conditions, then you will have a graph like this. Because pressure is inversely proportional to volume, and the name of this graph in terms of physics is called as isotherm. Okay, it's called as isotherm. Whereas if you try to draw the graph between pressure and volume under adiabatic conditions, then it will be more steep like this. It doesn't have any name. So if there are two graphs given. Okay, suppose in your exam they're asking two graphs like this. They're saying graph number 1 and graph number 2. So out of these two graphs, which one represents isothermal process and which one represents adiabatic process? What will you say?
So thermal 2 is adiabatic.
That's it. Okay. So adiabatic process is more steeper. Is that clear? Sometimes they might ask you what is an isotherm also. Isotherm is nothing but the graphical representation of the relation between pressure and volume under isothermal conditions. Clear? Shall I move on? Okay. Now listen. For an adiabatic process, pressure into volume raised to the power gamma is a constant. Okay. Similarly, we know that PV is equal to nRT, correct? So P will be equal to what? nRT divided by V. Let me call this as equation number 2. So using 2 in 1, what are we going to get? So using 2 and 1, we will get nRT divided by V into V power gamma is equal to constant. Right? So nR into T into V power gamma minus 1 is a constant. So T multiplied with V power gamma minus 1 is a constant, is another condition for adiabatic process. This is also condition. I cannot say it a condition. I will call this as the relation between temperature and volume under adiabatic condition. Similarly, can you guys find out what will be the relation between pressure and temperature for adiabatic process? So did you find? PV is equal. What is the answer?
Still doing, sir.
Okay. So we know that V is equal to nRT divided by P. And we know that PV power gamma is equal to constant. So P into, in the place of V, I can write it as nRT by P, the whole power gamma is a constant. So P raised to the power 1 minus gamma into T power gamma should be a constant. So this is the relation for, this is the relation between pressure and temperature under an adiabatic process. If there is any doubt, you can get it clarified. Okay.
So,
if
sir,
you're
for
clear-
that relation, we have to just find, like, we have to just substitute, sir.
That's it. That's what we do, no? So the only condition you need to have in your mind is PV power gamma is equal to constant. Okay. Then you write the ideal gas equation. Change pressure in terms of volume and volume in terms of pressure. You will get two more new relations. That's it.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So with all these concepts in mind, I'm going to start the derivation for work done in an adiabatic process. This is the last concept of this chapter. So work done in an adiabatic process. So what is the formula for work done, guys? Integral of PdV. We know that work done is equal to integral of PdV. Let's call this as equation number 1. And for adiabatic process, P into V power gamma is equal to constant. So work done will be integral of V initial to V final. In the place of P, can I write it as the constant divided by V power gamma into dV? Right, K divided by V power gamma into dV is the work done. Here also I'll add V initial to V final. Okay. So this will be equal to K into integral of dV by V power gamma from Vi to V final. So work done will be equal to K into integral of V power minus gamma into dV. So what is the integral of x power n dx? It is x power n plus 1 divided by n plus 1, right? So here n is nothing but minus 1. So what is going to be the answer? K into integral of Vi to V final V power minus gamma plus 1 divided by minus gamma plus 1. Okay. So K into this minus gamma plus 1, I can take it out. I will write it as 1 minus gamma into V final power minus gamma plus 1 minus V initial power minus gamma plus 1. Okay. This will be equal to K divided by 1 minus gamma into, see, small change that I'm going to make here is K divided by gamma minus 1 into V initial to the power of 1 minus gamma minus V final to the power of 1 minus gamma. The reason why I changed it to gamma minus 1 is because I wanted gamma to come first as gamma value is greater than 1. I told you in the previous subtopic, right? That gamma is always greater than 1. So I try to bring it out. So I wrote it as K divided by V power gamma minus 1 into Vi power 1 minus gamma minus Vf power 1 minus gamma. Okay. Is there any doubt till this step? It's not yet over. Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So I told you P into V power gamma is equal to constant, right? From this, what we can conclude is pressure under the first scenario into volume under the first scenario to the power gamma is equal to P2 into V2 power gamma. So in this case, I can write P initial into V initial power gamma is equal to P final is equal to P final into V final to the power gamma. Okay. If I is equal to K. If I take this and substitute it here, look at the way I'm going to substitute. So K is there, right? In the place of K, I can either write PF VF power gamma or PI VI power gamma. So when I multiply K with VI, I will write it as PI into VI power gamma. So PI into VI power gamma into VI to the power of 1 minus gamma minus, when I multiply the same K with VF, I will write it as PF into VF power gamma. PF into VF power gamma into VF power 1 minus gamma, the whole divided by gamma minus 1. Guys, is it clear? Is this clear?
So we multiplied into both, sir.
So what happened is K is outside. No, look at this step. I'm marking it with red. So in this step, when I multiply K, so there's going to be K into VI power 1 minus gamma minus K into VF power 1 minus gamma. Accepted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, but K has two different values. What is it? It is Pi into VI power gamma and PF into VF power gamma. Both are same. So when this K is getting multiplied with Vi, I took the value of K as Pi into Vi power gamma. When the same K is multiplied with Vf, I took it as Pf into Vf power gamma. Okay, the reason why I took it like that is because this Vi and Vi will get multiplied and Vf and Vf will get multiplied. So things will be easy for us. So this will be
Yes,
equal to, okay, Pi into Vi power gamma into Vi power 1 minus gamma is Vi minus Pf into Vf power gamma into Vf power 1 minus gamma is Vf divided by gamma minus 1. This is the amount of work done. So work done is equal to P1 V1 minus, P initial into V initial minus P final into V final divided by gamma minus 1. This is one of the formulae. Also, if I write PV is equal to nRT, from this I can write Pi into Vi is equal to nR into Ti and P final into V final is equal to nR into T final. If I take these two values and substitute it here, then I'll get nR into T initial minus nR into T final divided by gamma minus 1. is equal to NR into Ti minus T final divided by gamma minus 1. This is another formula for work done. So both will give you the same answer, provided if suppose there is a question in which they have given you pressure, volume and gamma, then you can use the first formula. Suppose in a question they have given you gamma and the temperatures, then you can use the second formula. Is it clear? So both are formulae for work done in an adiabatic process.
If they give pressure and volume, we use the first one, sir. And if they give
First one.
only temperature, we use the second.
Second one, depending on the parameters that are given, that's it.
Third, will they ask in exam? Will they ask the full derivation to derive this?
Yeah, this derivation is important. Yes, they will. All the derivations of 11th standard, you definitely need to ensure that you know. Okay, 11th mostly, at least in your school, they will mostly concentrate on this derivations only. Okay, is it clear? So if there is anything that is not clear in this derivation, please let me know. And as I told you, this derivation and the previous one are important. You will get it in 3 marks question. Okay. So just a minute. Yes. So with this, we are done. So this chapter is over. Because there is another topic called as heat engine, Carnot engine, and refrigerator. All these topics are deleted. So they are not there. So with this, for this year, we are done with the chapter. Is that clear? Is there any doubt till whatever we discussed?
No doubt.